Hello, hello. Welcome back to the She Interviews. This is part two with my girl, Courtney Ball. And we are talking to corporate mamas and how to break the glass ceiling. If you didn't see part one, you really need to watch it before this because you're going to get some insight on Courtney as the woman, what led her to where she is right now, how she got her salary to 2.5 times what she started with, and how long?
In 2.5 years.
You doubled your series. Okay, so Courtney doubled her salary in 2.5 years, which is kind of unheard of in corporate America, especially as a woman. So you don't want to miss that story, and then come back and watch us for part two. So part two, actually, Courtney is going to be lending some of her expertise to us and talking to us about the strategies that women can use that are struggling to get paid what they actually deserve. So Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about your brand new business? You just recently started in 2020, right?
Yes.
Okay, talk
Yep.
to us about it.
So I started the Courtney Ball Corporation earlier this year, and my mission is to increase the pipeline of women into corporate leadership positions. There are not enough resources for us to help us, and it's not like we don't know how to do what men are doing to become successful. It really boils down to there are glass ceilings that literally keep us from achieving the same things that our male counterparts do. So I started my company and my coaching program to help women better understand what's important at a corporation and also to give them the skills to actually go forth and cross that 6-figure salary mark. That's really important to me. I know it's really important for working moms, for women that want to have a family eventually. And I want to help. I really want to help them get there. It shouldn't be so difficult.
100%. And I have no doubt you really want to help. I can hear it in your voice. And just like I listened to your live the other night, and you were just like on point, bam, bam, bam. This is what's going on. And I was just like, I almost wanted to go back to corporate America. I almost. So Courtney, okay, tell us what is a common misconception about career advancement in corporate America?
Yeah, I think a common misconception is we think that we have to be working all the time to be successful. We must burn ourselves out in order to prove to management or the higher ups that we're in it 100%. That's not true. And when you burn yourself out, not only are you not bringing your best to the work that you're doing, who else suffers? Your family, your personal well being, your wellness, all of that stuff. So that's a common misconception. And when I'm working with my clients, I really challenge them. One of the first things we do is think about what is the best version of you at work, with your family, in your personal life, in your spiritual life, in with your physical well-being. And when you think about how you want to cross that 6-figure mark, how are you going to do it as that version of yourself? It doesn't involve being burned out. It involves, like we talked about on the part one, it involves prioritizing you and your happiness, and then everything else will fall into place.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Because basically all I heard was learn how to work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's about identifying who you are, what you want, right? And then being strategic and following some systems, which I think that you've kind of figured out, right? Like you've cracked the code on the system to follow to increase your value in the eyes of the people that you work with.
Yeah. So when I work with my clients, there's 2 major components that I really want them to get that were not taught in college or in graduate school. The first component is if you want to be successful in corporate America, you have to align with what you're doing with what the company is doing to be successful. So that means even me as an HR person, I can't just show up and say, oh, I'm recruiting. I need to understand what makes the company money. What kind of people will actually be good at adding value to those different business lines that are involved. And in my 9-to-5 work, previously, I worked at a political risk consulting firm. So for them, their people were their product because we had these analysts coming in talking about political events and whatnot. You really have to understand, what does your company leadership care about related to the bottom line, and how can you align your day-to-day work with that? The other piece is, if you don't have a mentor right now, you need to get a mentor, because a crucial part of moving up in corporate, and I'm sure you agree with this, even just expanding your network as a business person, you need to be good at building relationships. And if you are trying to move from entry level to mid-level or mid-level to higher, you need to know how to build relationships with the people that make decisions.
Right.
They don't tend to look like us. They tend to be dudes and maybe 30 years older than us. You have to come out of your shell and out of your comfort zone and make connections with those people. They need to know you. They need to see you and all the great work that you're doing.
Yeah. And so I have to ask you this question, because there's so many beautiful women out there. I mean, we're all beautiful. How do you do that in a professional way where someone's not, how do you make sure that someone's not taking advantage of you wanting to spend time with them if you're a woman? Because I know I've talked to lots of friends and that has been an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do you not go over that line? You know what I'm trying to?
Yeah, no, I 100%. And my face was changing because, I work in human resources. So I'm like, keep the door open.
Yeah, because unfortunately, women have unique challenges in networking because, like you said, they don't look like us. They're, a little bit older. They're dudes. So, you can't really give the same advice to a man that wants to be climbing the corporate ladder and using relationships and things like that. It can't be done the same way as a woman. Like, we have extra challenges and we kind of have to be a little bit more careful that way.
100%. So that's something that I've been more mindful of, not in general as much, but definitely at the consulting firm. If I was going into a meeting where I'm meeting with a male one-on-one ahead of time, this is to cover myself, make myself feel more comfortable, and also because I don't really know how to make small talk with people that different from me. So I would literally, before I went to the meeting, hey, Chris, this is what I want to talk about. 3 bullet points. So when we get in the meeting, hey, how was your weekend? Great, cool. Let's just talk about these 3 bullet points. Leave the door open, meet in a public, not behind closed doors, because that can get weird. And then if you ever feel that creepiness happen, something that I encourage you to do is figure out what exactly is going on. And if there is an issue, bring it to your HR person. Because another thing that we shouldn't feel the need to do, we shouldn't have to police people that are in charge of running the company. So when you're going into these meetings, be focused on your end game and what you really want to accomplish. And that's those 3 bullet points that you want to discuss. Discuss them and then get out of there. In more fun settings, like a holiday party, which I cringe at, again, HR director. But if you're going to, none of us are doing that anytime.
I think back to those like 1990 movies where there's always like a scene of like the Christmas party.
There's always there's something that happens. You have to be smart in those settings. And when I started in corporate here in New York, I was 25, I'm 32 now. So at that time, I would go to the holiday party, have a couple drinks, but I'm not having drinks with the CEO. If you want to do shots with people, you do that, but I'm not putting myself in a situation where it can go left. And I would encourage you to, again, think about yourself and what could turn into an uncomfortable situation, and don't put yourself in it.
So that makes a lot of sense, and that's great advice. But do you feel like men can have an advantage in that area where they can freely go have drinks after work and discuss business and build more of that relationship on a more casual basis? Like, what about that?
Like with each other, right? Like other dudes.
Right.
Yeah, I see that happening too. And if you want to engage in that, I think that you can. It's just a matter of setting those personal boundaries so people know what you're comfortable engaging in. Myself, If a group of senior guys are like, we're going to get drinks, I want you to come. I'm in a relationship. I'm not, if I go home to my man and I say, I hung out with the leadership team and we had drinks, that's not going to fly well. So I wouldn't do something like that. But if you choose to do so, make sure that you know what your limits are in terms of how much interaction you want to have with those people, and also just let them know. Because I have heard of senior folks either hitting on people or even hugging you, but not hugging the other male colleague that's the same level as you. You can politely say, no, no, and extend your hand for a handshake. I know it can be awkward and it may feel weird on your end, but that's something that we have to deal with as women moving up the corporate ladder.
Right. So would you say that to any woman that feels pressured to partake in those things, that they don't have to do that in order to break the glass ceiling? Like there's other strategies, there's other ways to stand your ground, work, show your value, work inside of the office, still kind of play the politics that you need to play, but you don't need to take it out of the office. You're not
right. You don't have to take it out of the office. And if you do take it out of the office, something else I've done, the owner of my last firm, his thing was, let's take shots all together. And I would pour the shot out, put some water in, and I'd take the shot. Or even in those more social settings, when I say know your limits, it's fun. It's fine to have fun, but make sure that you're totally aware and you're totally in control. Some other ways to build rapport with people that are senior at the company is to get involved in the work that they're doing. So as an HR person, something that I did to get more involved, I said, hey, President, we don't have a diversity and inclusion program. I love diversity and inclusion. I'd love to learn more about running a program like that. Met with him. I think we did meet face to face. It was fine. And he let me run with it. He knew who I was. We built that rapport, and he knew me as someone that would proactively come to him with ideas, and that instead of just saying, oh, we should do this, figure out someone to do it, I had more of a servant leadership approach to the kind of work that I do. And I would say, we need to do this, and I'll do it until we get it off the ground, and then we can make it a more collaborative effort. People appreciate you when they can rely on you. And if you can get your foot in the door and get on some of those projects that, again, are closer to the revenue generating part of the business, you will be able to get into that inner circle.
That is so important what you just said, getting closer to the revenue generating, because that's why everybody's there, right?
Exactly.
The company needs to make money so that everyone else can make more money, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's where those deals happen, right? Over scotch and a cigar, doing whatever, like from Mad Men or something. I'm not doing that, but we can talk about diversity and inclusion when you're back in the office.
I love that. So that's the two things, right? Good takeaway here is bringing value to whatever is bringing money into the company. And then as a woman, also not feeling the pressure that, hey, you're going to get passed up if you're not going on those social outings. There is more value inside of the office. And again, reaching out to Courtney, because Courtney's going to show you more of how to kind of follow that system to do that.
Yeah. How to do it in your day-to-day. A big part of my coaching program is time management, not in the sense that I'm like, this is how you organize your calendar, but again, going back to what motivates you and what your goals are. So making sure that every single week you're taking time to meditate, maybe even every day. And you're doing that during your workday, because that is okay. Every week you're dedicating time to learning how to get better at selling. If you are in a position where right now you're organizing, let's say sales meetings, but you want to actually be the person negotiating deals, set aside time for you to actually do professional development on a regular basis so you can be actively working towards that position that you have.
So, okay, again, you just talked about self-development, working on yourself, being close to what's making the company revenue. This kind of all sounds like entrepreneurial mindset. Mm-hmm. We talked about that in part one, but I kind of wanted to talk about it here, right? So do you talk to your clients that you're consulting with about the kind of mindset that they have when they're a part of a certain organization?
Yeah, so at the beginning of my coaching program, it's a 12-week program. We start off with having a very clear picture in your mind around that best version of yourself. How that person shows up to work, how much money that person is making, what are they doing in their day to day. And throughout the course of the 12 weeks, I remind you of that. If you have a rough day and you don't hit the milestone in the month that you set for yourself to do that, I'll say, but think about it. How would that best version of yourself respond to that? Would they say, I'm giving up? Or would they say, oh, well, I wasn't able to do it because I didn't get this final sign off. I can get that tomorrow. Crisis averted. You're still on the right path. You're still moving towards your goals.
I love that. I love that so much. So tell me, we've talked a lot. I mean, yeah, we have talked a little bit about how all of this, moving up relates to women, but I want to talk a little bit more about how it relates to women, because a lot of the things that you actually just talked about are strategies that men can use. I want to know, why is there a glass ceiling for women? Like, what is it about women that this glass ceiling exists? Like, what are those challenges?
I think that glass ceilings exist because for too long, especially in the US, men have been in charge of making all decisions around business and how businesses are run. And over time, women of color, there have been certain milestones and historical points where we gained more rights to certain things. And it's now in our lifetime that we are the generation that not only are we able to work and be in corporate America, but we also have these amazing educational backgrounds. And we're starting off coming into these amazing companies, maybe not even at an entry level. And now companies are trying to figure out, okay, how will our old school methods actually engage a more diverse workforce? And I think right now in the US, everything we see going on around racial justice is forcing companies to really look at their policies and say, what kind of policies do we have in place that may be stifling people? When you think about a new mom that's coming back to work after maternity leave, and this actually happened to me in the UK, their childcare hours are very specific, and it tends to be like a 9 to 5, and our company started work at 8 a.m. So we looked at our policies and we said, you can come in whatever time you want, because it's those small things that companies may not realize it affects someone that has an entire human being that they have to take care of.
Right.
And by you saying we're going to be rigid on this, you're putting in a glass ceiling on that person.
Right.
So I think it's been like that for a long time. And right now in this current moment, we have to keep pushing, keep advocating for ourselves, because companies are starting to pay attention. It's not going to happen overnight, but these glass ceilings, I think they'll start to come down, but they're definitely in place.
Do you think that COVID is going to accelerate that process? Because I think some companies were kind of bucking the work from home, whatever. And now that people are forced to work from home, companies are forced to allow their employees to work from home. Employees have, we have the ability to say, hey, look, I'm getting all my work done. I'm still just as valuable. And it's giving the companies less ammunition to say, no, you have to come in.
Yeah, I think for the issues that are specific to women, I do think that COVID is going to force companies to have to make some tough decisions, and they may work in our favor. The glass ceilings that I don't know if they'll be affected is that those salary gaps, because they exist, and part of it can be discrimination on the side of the employer, but part of it is also is on us as women when we're not educated around how to negotiate our salary or how to do the research before you actually tell them how much money you want. I think that's going to take more work. And that's why I started my company, because I want to tell women it's okay to say, I live in New York City. I have children at home. I'm not taking this job unless you pay me $100,000 a year. Why are you trying to have me manage everything under the sun and you won't pay me at market value? You need to do that. And I hope that there are still avenues for women to do that during COVID. I don't know. Might be
Right.
a little more tough.
Yeah, right. Because now you're not in person with someone, right? Hmm.
All our experiences now are so not manufactured, but they have to be structured like this, like on a video call or so I don't know. It'll be interesting for sure.
Well, if anyone is going to be able to figure it out, it's definitely going to be you, Courtney. So, listen, oh my gosh, this was like mind blowing for me. I loved it so much, understanding more about why we have this glass ceiling and the fact that we can, as women, take control and do something about it. It's just a matter of getting educated on how to do it. We're more educated in college, right? But then we have to catch up to what men have been doing for decades already in corporate America, and being that networking and all that stuff. And you know how to do that and show women. So women, ladies, if you are working in corporate America and this is speaking to you, please reach out to Courtney. What is the best way that people can reach out to you?
They can contact me on Instagram. I'm at courtney.ball.ma. I'm also on Facebook at the same handle. I'll comment my email address under the video when it's posted also. But yeah, just reach out. I'm friendly. Shoot me a DM.
Yes, you are super friendly. You're now one of my best friends, and I'm so happy that you're in New York, because after COVID, we could actually see each other because I am right across the pond.
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Courtney, thank you so much for your wisdom and your time. We will see you next time on the She Interviews.